Well, good day, everyone, wherever you're logged in from, and welcome this ETOA session on rethinking assumptions and understanding demand. This is one of a series of webinars that ETOA is conducting, specially focused on the India market. It's part of the India Showcase for 2026. My name is Paramjit Bawa, as you can see below, but everyone calls me by my initials, which makes it much simpler. My agency works with overseas clients to help them negotiate the India market, and one of our premium clients is ETOA. We represent them in the India market. Thank you for sparing the time to attend this session today. I think you will find it really interesting because we have a really amazing panel of contributors today, people who are experts in their field. And I'm just going to give you their very quick introduction before I ask them to organization. So HB Ventures, they are Nordic specialists. Tejbir has been an industry veteran in India for many years. He's been the president of the Adventure Tour Operators Association as well, and is an acknowledged authority on the Nordic region. Followed by Mohit Batra, who has been the head of Scandinavian tourism in India and is an acknowledged authority on Scandinavia, and is extremely well known in the trade and a very respected authority for that part of the world. And then last but definitely not the least, we have Christian Schoch. I hope I got that right, Christian, who is the head of. And I'd like to welcome all of you and thank you for being panelists on the session today. Can I just ask you to just have a quick 1-minute introduction about your organization and your role in it? So starting with you, Tejbir.
Thanks, Paramjit, and it's a proud privilege to be here on the platform. I had a company called Holiday Mood Adventures, which has been around in the tourism field for almost 3 decades. We have adventure as a DNA in the company, and right now our main focus in Outbound is to promote the polar regions, especially the Nordic regions. So we are a full-fledged DMC for all the Nordic regions, and also we are distributing 4 cruise lines as of now, which makes it a very cohesive and one-stop shop. And we are trying to assist the India and the GCC market together because we are present in both the countries. Thanks.
Excellent. Mohit?
Thank you, Param. Thank you for having me on the panel. Here, I have been a part of the tourism industry for now 25 years. I started off with Outbound and Inbound, so that gave me a great insight into the tourism business because I was new to it. I was from a consumer durable field prior to that. And I think it took me some years to really quickly understand the ropes of how one needed to work in the tourism industry. And later, since I had a certain expertise and knowledge of the Indian culture and having traveled across India, I had a representation company called Campus Connections that successfully established many brands in India from across Asia and Europe and the other parts of the world, Australia and New Zealand as well. And today, for the last 16 years, I've been responsible for the Scandinavian tourism. So that's a quick, brief introduction of what I do. Thank you.
Fantastic. And Christian, this will be the first time that you on a nature. So tell us a little bit about yourself and what you do at Switzerland Tourism.
Great. Thanks a lot for having me as well here. My name is Christian Joch. I'm the director of Switzerland Tourism India. We're based out of Mumbai, and we are a team of 6. So we have different departments here, from B2B, B2C, MICE, and Travel Switzerland. And yeah, I'm looking forward to be a part of the discussion and learn as well from our panelists, and of course to talk about the promotion of Switzerland in incredible India.
Great, thank you. Let's kick this off. So just to give a brief preamble, so India is a really varied market. It's a huge geographical area, and it's different from place to place when you travel across the country. When you go from north to south, east to west, lots of things change. The climate changes, the language, and the way people spend their money and the way that they prioritize their spending, and that includes for travel, also changes. So it's not a one size fits all market. It's a changing market from depending on the demographics of the region that you're looking at. There are certain which, however, remain the same. So we all have one time zone, we all have one currency, and also we have a slight advantage in the sense that most of the people in the segment we look at who travel overseas and especially to long haul, they all speak English. So these are certain things which don't change. Now, change. We've seen over the last 15 to 20 years a gradual trend from the traditionally popular like France and the UK and Canada and Italy and Switzerland. That demand is slowly shifting. We're seeing a lot more interest in new destinations in the eastern part of Europe or Central Europe, Nordic and Scandinavia being part of that whole equation. One destination which has remained popular throughout, from the beginning of, the starting of the growth of outbound in India, has been Switzerland. So I want to start with you, Christian, by asking you, what do you think the reason for that is? What is it that the destination has done to maintain that popularity, that appeal, and that demand, despite all these shifts in consumer demand for outbound long haul travel from India?
So I think for Switzerland has always been an aspiration here in India, and I think we are in the top 10 markets, or India is in the top 10 markets for Switzerland tourism. And I think, of course, there is one main reason, and these are the Bollywood movies. I mean, for example, there is still one famous Bollywood movie, DDLJ, which is still every day in one cinema in Mumbai, I think, already for over 25 years. So this really shows us the importance of Bollywood movies. But I think it's not only the Bollywood movies anymore. I think that Switzerland has a really good reputation here in India. Because people have traveled to Switzerland and they really see the value as well once they travel to Switzerland. I think especially our snow-covered mountains, we have famous mountains, they are present here as well in India for the promotion. So I think they also help a lot really to showcase Switzerland as a destination where you really can discover snow and beyond. Of course, our crystal clear waters, unique public transport system. And I think Switzerland tourism has always worked with very familiar faces as brand or friendship ambassador here in India. Be it Ranveer Singh, for example, or Neeraj Chopra. I think that helped us as well gaining this popularity across whole India, that people really want to visit Switzerland as well.
Right. This is quite a key factor of Bollywood, because in India everybody sees these, and when they see these destinations which have been shot on location, they want to experience it for themselves. So that definitely. What Bollywood, just do you as a tourism board give importance to providing incentives for filmmakers to come and shoot in Switzerland? What kind of incentives would you offer typically? They will have several options to choose from. To make them choose Switzerland, what would you do?
From Switzerland tourism, I'm just open. I mean, we don't have any incentives in that case. I mean, we have a Swiss Film Commission, but it's Switzerland tourism itself. We don't support that. I think it's really the country where the filmmakers see as well that if you have a country like Switzerland in your movie, it helped them as well a lot. And I think this shows for example, this DDLJ as well, that you have a lot of people coming and watching this movie in Switzerland, because in India. I think Switzerland is a dream country for everyone in India. I think, I mean, even if I ask anyone here in India, everyone knows kind of Switzerland and tells me as well, oh yeah, I've seen it on YouTube or wherever. So I think it's a popularity of Switzerland, why people want to shoot in Switzerland as well.
So that's an interesting point. Tejbir, sure you several years how some of these new European destinations are becoming more popular and generating more demand. I mean, in Central and Eastern Europe, for example, or the north of Europe. I mean, like even up to 5 or 7 or 8 years ago, we hardly ever heard names like Tromso or Rovaniemi or Tallinn keep coming up frequently. So, what do you think has caused this shift in demand or this change in? Tejbir? You're on mute, Tejbir. I think Tejbir, you're on mute. We can't hear you. I think we've lost Tejbir. Tejbir, you're on mute. Maybe I'll shift that question to you, Mohit. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Sorry, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry for that. Mohit, you want to go ahead? You can go ahead, then I can come afterwards.
Well,
Okay,
I think
Mohit,
one of the things it is that, of course, Indian travelers have been frantic travelers over the last 20 years. And in search of new destinations, they have really traveled the world. And it was only obvious that they would discover the world that they hadn't traveled to in Europe, which was beyond the Central European destinations. And once, of course, they started looking at that. Today, it's a different story. I mean, 15 years back, they were only looking at Scandinavian capitals, and then the fjords of Norway, and then the rest of the destinations, I think, became a part of their search. And today, of course, they are very keen to explore and go back as repeat travelers, because when you go for a week first, you do realize that you only get a glimpse of certain things that was really beautiful, and you need to explore it many, many more times. And that's what I think Switzerland saw. The biggest success for Switzerland has been the repeat travel from India. And for any destination to be very successful, whether it's UK, France, or Switzerland, Spain, and Italy, it's the repeat travelers that really draw that sort of success. So we are now beginning to see that as well towards this part of the world. Thank you.
Yeah. Tejbir, the area that Mohit looks after, the Scandinavian area, still had, for a slightly longer time, people looking to go to, say, Denmark or the Netherlands, for example. But the region which you work in, this Nordic region, this is relatively new. So again, there will be there have been demand dynamics that have changed in this market that we've seen over the last, very recent 5, 6, 7 years even. Tell us what your take on this is. How do you think this has come about?
It's actually a very interesting observation, Param, and honestly speaking, I have two words to combine to put it together, and that might be the reason why there's a newfound interest on the Nordic region, and Scandinavia is a part of the Nordic region. I would put the two words of active holidays and nature together. So post COVID is when suddenly the new world came into being, and people changed their ideologies about holidays. Bucket list journeys came first and foremost before like I shall do everything first and then go to the bucket list at the last. So that dynamic has completely changed. What has changed is that the Nordic region and Scandinavian regions offer amazing nature and experiential holiday. So these are the two words which I think is the trigger for this newfound interest. Maybe a Northern Light experience that everyone wants to take. That's the biggest on the bucket list as of today. May it be an expedition cruise to Svalbard, to Greenland, to Iceland, to Arctic Canada, may it be a ski holiday. So I also have observed that we're getting a lot of new queries and interest for skiing in the Nordic regions, and mostly uh, the Switzerland and the French Alps and the Italian Alps have been, the playgrounds for the ski holidays. But we have an amazing infrastructure in the Scandinavian region, and there's a newfound interest for skiing holidays, which is coming up. Self-drive is a very, very big word, and especially in Iceland, we have the major product that we have now is a self-drive holiday in Iceland. So, and to cap it all, I think with the new Copenhagen being the hub, with so many airlines flying into Copenhagen from Mumbai and Delhi almost on a daily basis, and it's going to grow only. The destinations like Greenland and Faroe Islands and Svalbard have come very closer. So it's just a one-stop shop. You fly into Copenhagen, and the next day, straight away, you're either in Nuuk or in Longyearbyen, or you're in Torshavn in Faroe Islands. So these are the great trends which are coming up, and the dynamics which are shaping up, which I think is making the travelers make a newfound decision for the holidays.
Right. Yeah, and it's quite this of demand and this evolution of demand into newer parts of Europe. It's a good thing for Indian outbound. It's a good thing for European suppliers, I think, in those regions to get more exposure to markets like India as well. But I suppose the question that would then come up is you talk about things like the Northern Lights and skiing and outdoors, the spectacular outdoors. But these things have always been there. So how come they've only come into the spotlight over the last 5 or 10 years? What has changed in terms of the marketing or the selling or the promotion of the destination that has suddenly made people start looking at these things to do and ask for?
I think, like we say, blame it on Rio. So let's blame it on Instagram, because that is where the inspiration is coming up from. So the amount of people traveling to these destinations and showcasing some amazing visuals is what is inspiring so many people across the globe to the Nordic and the Scandinavian regions. That is for sure. But having said that, it's a plus and a minus both, because they also try and use AI to some extent, which needs to be a little responsible. And I have a very interesting observation which just happened recently, last month itself. So there was a picture of a Northern Lights train in Norway, now which went viral, and everyone was like, okay, wow, what a train, what a completely glass top train, and I want to do that, I want to do that. Whereas that was an AI fake generated image. And I think for the last 1 month I've been telling everyone that it's fake, it's not real. So the influencers of the Scandinavian region went a little, overboard with joy, and they put up a picture which made the world go crazy. So yeah, so I think it's Instagram and the visuals which are actually doing the trick.
So we attribute a lot of the shift in demand or the new interest in these destinations to social media and these new platforms. Maybe you might include something like TikTok in that as well, with videos coming out of your region that people see. Christian, we've been talking about the shift in demand from a certain set of countries to a newer set of countries, but even within Switzerland, I think you'll agree with me. We've seen a shift in demand again from just going to the main cities and now towards new destinations or relatively newer destinations like Jungfrau, Mount Titlis, and some of these other places. So, what do you think has happened here? How has this demand shifted from people? Is it repeat travelers who've been there, done that in the main cities, and now want to try something else, or is it something that's just coming to appeal to across segments of the new parts of Switzerland, undiscovered parts of Switzerland?
Yes, we definitely see that as well. I think there are several reasons for that. First reason, I mean, we see that people are staying longer in Switzerland. So they don't come only for two or three nights anymore. They really stay like 6, 7, 8 nights. So they have more time to explore Switzerland. And to be honest, I mean, for example, Jungfraujoch or Titlis or like another mountain, it's always on the list for our Indian guests. So they will visit Interlaken, for example. Anyway, it's kind of a must. But as soon as they staying longer, they also have more time to explore beyond the highlight destinations. And this is really our goal. So we definitely see as well, for example, the best-selling Swiss travel pass. So this is the pass for our public transportation for our guests in Switzerland. It's 6 and 8 day pass in India itself. So this, I mean, we've seen an increase on that as well. I think it used to be the 4-day pass, and now it's the 6 and 8 day pass as a bestseller. So that shows us as well, especially the individual travelers, they're staying longer and they really want to travel along the famous routes in Switzerland, like Golden Pass Express, Glacier Express, and so on. But then once they're in a region they have never been, they also want to explore that. So our goal is really as well, if it comes to promotion, that we really showcase the diversity of Switzerland, because we see that people are staying longer in Switzerland. So that's why we also want to promote destinations beyond these highlights. And if you talk about repeaters, so what we see definitely that the repeaters, they're more keen to explore beyond these highlights. And interestingly, we see that repeaters are coming mainly from the metro cities. However, the first timers, they might come only for 2-3 nights to Switzerland, definitely go to Interlaken, Lucerne, for example. But then once they come back, they definitely want as well to explore destinations beyond that. And for example, like newer destinations are like Montreux as well. I mean, Geneva, Zermatt, St. Moritz, Laax, Appenzell, eastern part of Switzerland, which is really untapped from the Indian market. And another reason, what I have the feeling, and Dechbir was before talking about Instagram as well. So they want to have these unique experiences. No one has done it before, right? No one has explored this little village in Switzerland before, kind of. So they really also want to talk about these places where they can really explore kind of the Swiss tradition, the Swiss culture. We see that the demand is here for that as well. So I think there are several reasons why people are really interested as well into these smaller towns. We call it hidden gems, and it gives us as well a little bit the freedom as they stay longer, really to promote these towns as well for our guests.
I think also the point that Tejbir made earlier about the Instagram and social media, so that would probably help in exposing some of these lesser known and smaller towns and smaller parts of Switzerland which are not before or previously exposed to the market. Mohit, I'm gonna come to you. So the Scandinavian Tourism Board is responsible for, I think, primarily 3 countries.
That's right, yes. Norway, Denmark, and Sweden.
Denmark? Yeah.
Norway and Sweden.
Yeah. Countries. Over the time, a considerable time that you've been the country head of this region, and before that, you also did some work with Manchester tourism. I remember in
That's
the
right,
early
yes.
or the mid 2000s. How have you seen? What are the current demand patterns in the Scandinavian region, and have these evolved? How have you seen what major changes have you seen in demand patterns for things to do, experiences in Scandinavia that Indians like to this includes, have there been any they stay, their accommodation, the way that they travel, overland or by air? Have you seen any what are the major changes you've seen over the last 10 or 15 years?
So lots of changes, of course, and we from the kind of people that have been traveling, we have, of course, always had almost always had people that have been very well traveled. unlike Switzerland, where you also had somebody who was traveling to Europe for the first time arriving. So we largely, I think some years back, especially 15 years back, had people that had done Europe a few times and then coming into Scandinavia. But the early days, of course, were people that were traveling quickly over 6 nights through 3 countries, and largely or primarily only capitals, and then going out. And then I think there was also a trend where they were combining 4 or 5 countries, where Finland was also included, and sometimes you had also those tours going across to Russia. So those were some of the trends that in between got popular, where people were trying to quickly see 4 or 5 countries. And then that trend switched over to 2 countries and doing these countries really well, and sometimes 3 countries, but longer stays. So from 8 nights, it became the standard itinerary became closer to 12 days. And then they also had options of 15 days and about 3 weeks there. In terms of the consumption, of course, there was a time when we were doing the real popular icons, wanting to see the Little Mermaid, walk down the Stroget, or quickly see a couple of icons that I'd heard of in Sweden, go to the old town quickly for half a day, or go to the Tivoli Gardens in Copenhagen. And that was primarily what they did. But today, I think we've reached slowly in different phases, especially with repeat travel, or people that are planning their holidays much better. So both the people that are coming in for the first time, knowing that they are probably going to go back on a couple of occasions, at least summers differently and winters differently, and you cannot possibly combine the 3 countries and do everything together. So we've seen more inclusive, more long stay packages now, which have been there. And I want to also credit the travel trade in India, which has grown exponentially and is really responsible for creating these fantastic products, and including people like Tejbir, who've really gone beyond creating possibilities to do Faroe Islands or Nuuk, or some hidden gems out in the Arctic. So that has also meant that we've spread around the year. The destination isn't no longer this 2 months of April, May, June destination in the summer, and then there was no travel for the rest of the year. Today, largely over the last 15 years, we've positioned ourselves as around the year destination, and that you can experience different things when you're traveling at different periods of time. And slowly, of course, as people discovered, social media plays an important role, even though sometimes it is putting wrong pictures and calling some other destinations, but at least there is some inspiration that floats around, and then people check back or fact check, and then are able to sort of look for those places and go visit them. So I think primarily some of these things have changed the pattern and the way they think, but more time on hand, accessibility, direct flights, this is all really what's made all the difference.
Right. Yeah. Accessibility, more connectivity. I think, yes, these are two important points that you mentioned. I'm also going to come to another point. Tejbir, I'm going to put this one to you. You've been seeing how the market has evolved from here, as well as seeing how the market has evolved in your destination. Now, there used to be a perception about Indian travelers coming to and Europe, and most of Europe, and in particular your destination. They're not low priced destinations, and the perception used to be that Indians are always looking for something cheaper. But I think, correct me if I'm wrong, I think that perception needs to change now. I think we had a panel where this point came up. I think now, do you see a shift from just being low price to being value for money? And people will spend if they perceive that they're getting good spending.
Param, it's very interesting to observe that this conception of Indians, trying to find the cheapest or the value for money holidays, I don't think so. It's valid in the Nordic and the Scandinavian region, because of the fact we are booking charters for Svalbard, and so I don't need to say more. Uh, just a couple, average holiday spend is not less than 10,000 euros, which is around 10 days or something like that. So, on the contrary, I think Indians are spending very big money, extremely big money. Nobody goes to the Scandinavian regions or the Nordic region just for, let's say, 4 nights or 5 nights. It has to be a travel which is around more or less 8 to 10 nights, according to what we do in a company. It's more about luxury travel. Now, another example could be that an igloo, which is one of the most sought after experience that everyone wants to have, northern lights from the igloo. Usually it's a 600-700 euro product per night, but now with double-storied igloos being made, 50 square meter and worth around 1,500 euros to 2,500 euros a night, that's what Indians are booking. And not just Indians in India, but also the GCC country, where you have majorly the diaspora of Indians stay over there. It's amazing. It's incredible the amount of business that we're doing. It's not about being the cheapest at all. Maybe only if you stick to the capitals is where you might find this sentiment. But as you move into the Arctic region, every activity is worth paying for and the experience worth taking, and they're all paying for it.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. Obviously, it's the kind of destination where you wouldn't expect of money that you would pay on a holiday to maybe one of the short haul destinations from India. So there's definitely a cost aspect paired with the quality aspect, and I think that's what Indians are looking at now. What about just what kind of accommodation is the average Indian to your region looking at? What kind of options do they tend to go for?
Nothing less than a 4 star. In fact, we have requests for giving a 5 star accommodation in the Arctic Circle region. Now, Arctic Circle region usually has boutique properties, which could be more expensive than a 5 star also, but there are no so-called star categorization hotels, more or less in the Arctic region. So, nothing less than a 4 star, I would say that is what we sell. I don't remember booking even a 3 star for any one of our clients because everyone wants a premium holiday. Everyone doesn't want. Nobody wants to cut corners when they go there because it's a long haul. It's an expensive, so they all want to go all out so that when they come back, there is no compromise on the experience at all.
Right. Right. Yeah, that's a good point. Continuing on this topic of the factors that Indians choosing the destination that they want to visit. Christian, do you find things like the ease of visa applications or the quality of welcome plays a part in how you market your destination? I mean, we know Indians, I think, spoiled a little bit by that kind of facilities and they get when they travel to Southeast Asian and Asian markets, big hotels and someone standing at the door to welcome them, give them a garland around their neck, and take them to the reception, give them a welcome drink, all of that kind of stuff. So, how does that sometimes in Europe, even with the best hotels and the best kind of destinations, you may not get that level of personalized welcome or attention. For example, many hotels in Europe, they're extremely good hotels, very charming. They have a lot of style, but they may not have a porter to take your luggage from the reception or from the entrance up to your room. You might be expected to take that up yourself. The size of the room might be another thing. Do you find that there is an awareness about this when it comes to Indian visitors? How does quality of welcome, how does the ease of visa influence what you do in the market? Christian, I think you're on mute again.
Sorry. All right. Okay. Thank you. You hear me now? I think, right. I think it's quite an interesting topic. We just had recently this discussion as well, because we really seen that a shift of the mindset or of the profile happened as well in the Indian market. So the Indians, once they travel to Europe, they know what they expect. So they know definitely what you've just mentioned, right, regarding the service, the porter, and so on. But I would say in Switzerland, who are welcoming a lot of Indian guests, they are aware of that. So they really also offer more and more, especially the 5-star hotels. they're telling us as well that they have more and more Indian guests. I think this is the topic you discussed before, and that the Indians, they are more than happy to spend this money as well for any service. So I think there we're quite good equipped. But then on the other hand, of course, if you travel by public transport, yes, of course, you can choose door-to-door luggage service so that you don't have to get your luggage on the train. On the other hand, I think they know that once they are in Europe, they don't have just this service just for free, right? Kind of. So I think there people are really aware of it. And if you talk about the ease of travel, I mean ease of visa or whatever, I think so. What we see that, I mean, Switzerland is a part of the Schengen countries, right? So they have to do the process or the application kind of with this whole Schengen process. We have the biggest visa section in the world in India, so we have a lot of stuff there as well. That's why I think they're doing an amazing job as well in the Indian market, and it helps us a lot as well to welcome our Indian guests in Switzerland itself. If I come back to this whole topic of spendings of an Indian guest, so India is in the top 5 market for Switzerland if we see on a daily average expenditure. So they spend about 280 francs per day, and this of course includes hotel overnights, but as well services they use, adventures they do, and we see that increasing as well. So I think it's that's why it's quite interesting to see the market, how it is evolving as well into a luxury, into a FIT market for Switzerland.
Right. Yeah. Very interesting. So I think what I'm taking from this is that gone are the days when Indians would look to, spend if they like what they're seeing and they find value in it, they will spend big money, as big as people from any other. Um, I want to come back to you. So just about a few minutes ago, a point was raised about you mentioned about there being no distinction now between no large distinction between off season and peak season. Um, this again has been a shift in travel from India to your destination, where it's now spread out more across the year, rather than just being based on this peak of April, May, and June.
Well, there are the peaks still remaining, but then the peak has extended to July and August. One simple way I can explain that is that you have international schools today in India, and there's a lot of them, and they have holidays in July and August. So that's obviously meant that the season has got extended. Also, parts of India go on holidays at a different stage. South India starts in April sometime, whereas North India, the holiday season begins more mid-May sometimes. So that's one reason. But there is lack of time that younger generation that have been working, they may not be able to get holidays at a certain time of the year. So they would probably find time around September. There are people who are looking at good deals in the shoulder season. And then there are people who are looking at a time when they can travel, explore the fjords at one time, also with some being lucky with the sun, and then go up the Arctic for the northern lights. So trying to get the best of both worlds. So there are multiple reasons, but then the growth in tourism around Christmas and winter and snow and northern lights, that's really picked up. So there are many, many factors that are, of course, expanding this possibility. And there could be, January may not be the peak month at all for Scandinavia today, except for the northern lights, of course. But let's say if one of the direct flights like Air India has a great offer on the sector, you might just go ahead and book that and then experience that. So there are many, many, many reasons, I think, why this has shifted, and we continue to see that shift as we go along.
Yeah, this is again, some feedback that we get from in many of the traditional destinations, the traditionally popular ones. The distinction between off-season and peak season is becoming a little more blurred. Before we continue, everyone who's logged in, thank you for still being with us. There is a box I would encourage you to put in all or any questions for our panelists, and we'll try and during this session. So please do put in your questions, any kind of query. There's no bad question. Question from you, Aaron. Thank you for posting this. I'm going to ask Tejveer to answer this because obviously you've been in the market for many, many years. Aaron is asking about the new Indian from lower economic levels, from people with not the top level of income or affluence. What do you think are their first entry points in terms of product and destinations into Europe?
Is that for me, Param?
Yes, yes, Tejveer. Why don't you answer?
Okay. Interestingly, we've tried to answer that question vis-a-vis the visa availability. So, what was happening in the last season was that getting a Finnish visa or an Icelandic visa was getting a little problematic, whereas Norway and Sweden were issuing visa very easy. I've had clients who had visa in just one day. So they deposited the documents, and the next day the call came. So they got scared that what's gone wrong. I've maybe not submitted my documents. They said, "Congratulations, please collect your visa." So it was like incredibly, a happy moment, and we have been routing our programs now accordingly. So we start from Oslo, and either we start from Stockholm, and then we take over it. If it's a multi-country, then it's fine. If it's in the same country, then we have the same entry and exit point. And also, if I may also answer your question about the last question which you asked Mohit about the season and the peak and the off season, you'll be surprised to know that we have no off season now. For any business to say that you're busy 12 months a year, I think that's the epitome of anything that you would like to achieve. And because of so much of demand, request, inspiration, aspiration to visit the Nordic countries, I don't see any month going like a very low, like we don't have business or we just have a couple of files. We are booked 12 months a year. Maybe we have positioned our products accordingly. That could be the reason. But there is quantum of business flowing in 12 months a year, which wouldn't be the case, before COVID. But now post COVID, I think this is a fantastic experience that we are having of 12 months a year.
Also, just to add on a little bit, Christian, I want to ask you when you look at the demographic of the travelers from India to Switzerland, just continuing on this question that was asked by Aaron, what is the main segment that you're seeing? Is it more affluent Indian um, set, or are you seeing also a lot of students or youngsters coming who may not necessarily want to spend big bucks? They might want to stay in hostel accommodation, but still want to experience the country. What's the mix of the demographic that you're seeing for your destination?
So, I mean, we all know Europe is quite expensive, and as well Switzerland. So that's why we definitely see that people traveling to Switzerland are affluent people, I would say, definitely. However, what we hear and see as well, I mean, the population of India is quite young. So I think 65% are below 35 years old. That solo travelers is picking up quite well. So we see that more and more people are traveling solo or like with friends together. And these people, I mean, they're mostly younger, maybe I would say from 25 years old or maybe a little bit older. And they're staying sometimes as well in youth hostel. I mean, this is a chain in Switzerland. But in general, we definitely see that affluent people are traveling to Switzerland. Interestingly, the last few months or even years, we see that these people, especially from tier 2 and tier 3 markets, are coming. So where the economic growth is happening right now here in India, the people want to spend money. That's why we see is luxury travelers. They're also coming from these smaller markets. If we talk about groups, they're more price sensitive, I would say. So once we have group travelers, and we still have quite a few group travelers, they're more price sensitive. And they might only also stay for 2-3 nights to Switzerland, and then they move forward to another country.
Right. Yeah. I'm glad you brought up this point about the tier 2 and 3 markets. I've, for many, many years, I think anyone who only focuses on the main metros and does not try to engage with the travel trade or the consumer in these tier 2 and 3 markets beyond Delhi, Mumbai, Bangalore, I think they're missing a trick, because the real growth of outbound, in my opinion, is probably going to come. Probably going to be driven largely by the demand from these markets as their income levels grow and their disposable incomes increase. Okay, we just have about 14-15 minutes left. I'm topic which is going to have different views depending on which you're on. So please, I'm going to start with you. Do you think the tourism boards are doing enough to support you in your efforts to market your products and your destination?
At the onset here, I'd like to really compliment Mohit.
Don't necessarily be diplomatic about it, because Mohit and the panel, just give us your frank and honest view.
No, I will be absolutely honest about it. But I must, begin by saying that what Mohit is doing in the country, it's really transforming the canvas of the travel agents. He's really done very well, at least for the Scandinavian 3 countries, going door to door to the agencies and to the cities. 3 cities we do every year. The road shows are very well sought after. It's by invitation, etc. But I'm sure that he also has his challenges. There is so much more that can be done. There is no doubt about it. One road show in a year maybe is not enough. And then there are so many other cities that are also craving for the suppliers to come to their city. So we usually do the metros, and I'm not even talking about the 2-tier cities. I'm talking about other places like Pune and Nagpur and Hyderabad, and which are also credible. Lucknow, Kanpur, they have incredible business, and I do business with them, which is fantastic. I also understand and realize that the Nordic and the Scandinavian countries have their carrying capacities. They understand the carrying capacities. They also want to be very clear about the kind of business they want to receive. So maybe that could also be a reason that why they are not going all out, especially coming to India. I'll give you another observation that 2 years back, I was in STW in Södertälje in Sweden, and you'll be surprised that me and Arshdeep were the only 2 Indians sitting in the entire contingent. Everyone from across the world, they were delegates, but we were only 2 people from India. And I came to know sadly that they have pulled back their budgets for India completely. So India is not even the source market according to them as of now. China is, taken over, so they are concentrating more on China. So I don't know what the reason is, but definitely there is so much that the destinations are missing, the countries are missing. India is a booming market. It's not there's no second thoughts on that. The amount of business that we have over here and the amount of people who wish to travel to the Nordic and the Scandinavian countries is phenomenal. I think the next 15-20 years are going to be so good for these destinations, because there is so much of demand, and there is just a little bit that that we are receiving in the destinations. And yes, to answer your question, we definitely would love to have these countries and the tourism boards come to India, spend more money, visit more places in the country, city to city, so that more awareness can be created, which Mohit is doing on his part, I'm doing on my part. We do over and above the road shows and webinars and whatever we can do to disseminate the information, because information on the Nordic and the Scandinavian regions is limited for sure, and not many people have visited apart from the capitals.
Right, right. Very interesting observations there. More of the fence. What's your take? Do you feel you're doing enough? Do you feel there's more you can do? What do you think about the tier two and tier three cities and their? Can you hear? Yeah. Maybe I'll pass that on to you, Christian. Do you think that the tourism board is doing enough? And are you
I think
engaging
Param has
with the
lost the
tier two?
connection, but let me just also
Okay,
add to what Tejbir is saying.
okay,
And I quite
okay.
agree with Tejbir that there is always going to be scope to do better. However, certain objectives over the last years that we've had with the Scandinavian Tourism Board have been to work very, very closely with the B2B market to enhance their product knowledge, to find the leisure travel agents that can market sustainable holidays, and partially that comes out of the objectives of the countries where we do not we not geared up for huge volume of business, and there's also some pressure in terms of learnings that we've had from what happened with the Chinese market in terms of purely the numbers. So considering that there are some objectives that have been met very successfully, but of course that means that we need to go to the tier two markets, also ensure that there is an adequate knowledge. And to this extent, we did start to head out from the four prime markets onto Hyderabad. This year, we're heading to Kolkata, for example. And then we do plan that if we can get back to markets like Ahmedabad and Kochi, that could be a start to at least get the top eight markets in and then slowly expand ourselves, of course, within the limitations of the resources that we have. So that's really what I think. I'm sure Christian would have liked to add something to this, but we don't see him on the screen now. And hopefully Param and Christian will be back on
I can see Christian.
on here soon.
Yeah, no, I can. You've got Christian on screen. Christian, what's your take? I think this is an important topic. We should have a opinion of all of us.
Definitely, definitely. I see it similarly like Moit. So I mean, there's always room for more, I would say. But I think we give our best within our resources as well. What we intensify definitely the presence from our end in tier two, tier three cities. So we conduct like 10 trainings each year in different cities, and this year is definitely focused on the smaller ones, I would say. Be it for example Indore, Bhopal, Coimbatore, so where we really see the economic growth and the potential as well, and we do that as well with our hotel partners where they see as well traction. So we have some facts where we can track where we really want to intensify that as well. And I think I come back to the topic you've mentioned before. So we really want as well to bring this knowledge, to bring this product knowledge to the smaller cities in terms of beyond the highlights, because most of the people here in India, they know our highlight cities, they will visit it anyway. But to really get this knowledge about these hidden gems, I would say, we really our travel trade and really to have the conversation to support them as well. And then of course we have a team here in Mumbai who is supporting the travel trade as well. We do have webinars where a lot more people can join from all over India.
Hi, Aaron. Are
So
you trying to
yeah,
get Param and Christian back?
we yeah.
Mohit, we can hear him loud and clear. I think your signals are bad.
Yes, I think this is my take for this question. I think, Paramchit, are you there?
Hi, Param. Can you hear us?
Yeah, I'm here. I can see you guys?
Yeah, loud and clear.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, okay. So I think we have just credit to you guys that there's no question. So everyone seems to have a quite clear concept about what we've been talking about. We have 5 minutes left. So I'm just gonna go one by one to all of you, starting with you, Christian. If there was one advice you wanted to give to a Swiss supplier who's looking to enter the India market, what would it be?
Understand the Indian market. This comes especially with your focus. So, which is your focus in India itself, with the city? Understand the culture, and really think which is your target audience within India.
Right. Give to some.
So, so my answer is going to be a little longish, and if you can bear with me, uh, Scandinavian region and the Nordic regions are yet relatively unknown, except for the capitals. What suppliers also want is a piece of the Indian, business, which is absolutely fair enough. But what they are not trying to understand is that India is a very large country. At the same time, the region is also pretty large. Uh, what they should be doing is identifying a channel, an ecosystem, which will give them the best of the best results. And I see that a lot of suppliers, they come from the road shows, like independent activity suppliers. I really don't think so. They get a lot of business because a travel agent over here is looking for a full service, a full DMC service. Because if it's an itinerary of, let's say, 12 nights, 30 nights, 40 nights, so they're going to go multi country. There are going to be so many supplies involved in between. So my suggestion to the suppliers is that find credible DMCs like us in India, for example, who understand the destination, tie up with them. They will give you the insight into the Indian market and the GCC market, for example. And we act like a bridge to the destinations, to the suppliers, and to the source market. I think that's the right way of building an ecosystem where we can both work together hand in hand, because we're based over here in the same time zone. We understand the market. India is a very big market. The north is different from the south, east is different from the west, as we all know it. And the request and the demand is also varied also. So that's my suggestion to the suppliers, that find your channel, find your partners, and try and coexist with them. And I also would like to say that even on the Indian side front, we should also contribute equally in marketing and sales. So that is the way a partnership can actually flourish very well.
What about the importance of, so like you mentioned, India is a big market. It's got lots of geography, very big, and also in terms of saying, for someone coming in to focus on just one or two segments to start with, and then go all out with everything for everybody.
Uh, that's a tough one, because end of the day, the itinerary and the holiday is going to be not a short getaway. Nobody's going to go there for 3, 4, 5 nights. It's going to be a long holiday, and the holiday will have a lot of components, right from the cruise to an activity to a hotel to experiences to just so much. So I think it has to be done in a very holistic manner.
This segmentation.
This is really important. As I said, I think you really have to have your focus. For example, we have now a separate department which is only handling the luxury markets for Switzerland tourism itself. So, and we have separate activities, especially for luxury, for example, because we have like different suppliers across Switzerland, where they, I mean, some have more capacities, some have less capacities, cheaper kind of activities, so more expensive ones. So I think it's really important as well to individualize these products or these segments for these segments. Yeah.
Yeah, I thought so. Aaron, a couple of minutes, please. A couple of minutes. Anyway, if we're not, then I'll just summarize. I think we lost Mohit. Shift in not only but also in terms of spend and experiencing new destinations, and I think it has become more experiential rather than just going to a particular destination just for the sake of it. Also, I think what we've taken away is that if Indians like a destination or like an experience, they will pay for it. And that's another trend that we've seen now. The importance of segmenting your market, because we're a big market and you don't want to overextend. As Tejbir mentioned, the importance of forming partnerships. Like you said, Tejbir, find your partner. I think the importance in this market of building relationships cannot be discounted. And the people who have spent a long time in this market and built those relationships, decision makers on the Indian side, they are beginning to see the benefits of getting business because of those relationships, and that it takes time. So this is, I think, a market that demands a little bit of patience, a little bit of perseverance. The importance of one-to-one connections is very important, and I think the other thing that has come out of this discussion is the need to be flexible as the Indian market evolves, and I think every one of us will agree that it's evolving quite quickly as it matures from a new market into a maturing market. You have to also be flexible with your marketing strategy and the way that you approach your B2B marketing and your B2C marketing, because tastes change, preferences change, and it's a continuous process. So with that, I'd just like to thank you, Christian. Thank you very much for your time today, Tejbir. Always an education to speak to you. And with us, I think we lost his connection, but I'd like to thank him as well. And we hope that the audience got some good takeaways. Oh, Mohit's back. That there were no questions on the Q&A leads me to believe that our panelists were very clear and concise with what they were trying to convey. So thank you very much to all of you. Thank you to the audience who's logged in. And we hope you have a good day and continue to look at India as one of the markets. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hi, thanks.